Welcome to La Vieille Ferme in France. My name's Alan, and we moved here about 4 years ago, my wife and I, Mandy, and as well as this beautiful woodland, we've also got a couple of acres of pasture, and we've got an orchard, a veg garden, which is an ongoing project, and we've got 3 beautiful gîtes which we rent out as holiday cottages. Obviously not at the moment during this lockdown period, but hopefully soon. But anyway, while I was in the wood today, I was having to cut some branches back on our border there with the farmer. I came across the old farm dump, and we've dug out a few interesting bits which I thought people might like to see, and we brought a few tools up with us now, and we're going to have a little route around in there and see if we can find anything interesting. So come along and have a look. So this is where the dump is, just behind where I was kneeling, behind this holly bush. I think it's along an old hedge. It's just in there, and you can see that I've been sort of digging around in there, and I've now come with some tools, and hopefully I better find something a bit deeper. So here we are in the actual area where the tip is, and there's lots of wine bottles, obviously, and yeah, lots of bits and pieces, lots of old bits of metal. So I'm just going to have a dig around with the fork and just see if I can find anything else. Most of the bottles seem to be coming from this area here, so I'm going to have a dig around, see if there's anything. Oh, here's another one. I'm quite sure that's got some embossing on there, some sort of I'm quite sure what that is. I'll carry on digging, and oh, here's another one. There's quite a lot of broken glass, so I'm using this fork. There's a bit there. So we've had another dig around. Got a bloody tractor coming past now. So we've had another little dig around, and we've come up with a few little surprises. I don't think that's much good now. And a pair of boots, but they're not matching, so I don't think I'll be keeping those. A few more bits of farm implements. And pitchfork head. And some more nice bottles. Again, they're all kind of, I don't know what the term is, we think it's embossed, or but I think it means they've got some age, I'm not quite sure what. But yeah, some nice little ones. We're going to clean them up and see how they come out. We've had to come to a stop on digging because we've got a pile of this kind of metal junk and plastic and bits and pieces, and we need to clear that out, and then we'll have a clearer area to do some more digging, and maybe depending on how long this area has been used, there may be some older stuff deeper down, so So we've spent an hour or so digging an area that we'd cleared, and we've come up with this haul of bottles. So I'm going to get these back home and get them cleaned up, and we can have a clearer, better look at them and see what we've got. So here we are a few days later, and many hours of scrubbing and cleaning of the 105 bottles that we dug out of the pit. And here's just a selection of the sort of more interesting ones. Now, I've done some research on the internet and on bottle construction, and there may be one or two here that are late 19th century, but I think the majority are mid 20th century or early to mid 20th century. And there's an interesting mix of there's an interesting mix of animal products, we think, and tonics for humans. Things like this one here is a cough syrup. This is for anti-acid stomach problems. This one here is apparently for heavy legs, but they all seem to be sort of herbal remedies. And there's quite a lot of these ones. I apologise to any French speakers out there, but I think it's something like cuillère de soupe, which is basically a soup spoonful, a measurement. And you can see, I don't know if you can pick up on the camera, there's measurements down here of on the side of the bottle. I've just noticed actually that this one has just lost its bottom. Quite sure why that's happened. Obviously maybe cleaned it too heavily. Yes, and as well as the bottles, there's a nice enamelled coffee jug, which I'm really taken a liking to. And this bit of well, this wheel, I'm not quite sure what this came from. Maybe someone out there may be able to tell me, leave it in the comments what I think that may have been for. It's got kind of a, maybe an axle or something, so it obviously turned, but I don't know if it's for a little cart, or maybe maybe a band or something went on here, a drive belt or something. But yeah, there's another, obviously there's the obligatory wine bottle. We found a few of those. And these bottles, which again they're embossed with markings for volume, but this one I think went that way, so whether it had some kind of tube in there for dealing with an ill animal, or I'm not quite sure. Again, maybe anyone out there that has got a bit more information can let me know. There's also one of these, which we've seen a few around the farm, and I think they get knocked into the mortar, like these. I don't know if you can see the wall behind me, but it's lime mortar, and it was knocked into the wall up to this point here, and there's a threaded hole there. So whether there was some kind of structure that went on there, but again, quite interesting. So there we are, an interesting little find. Nothing really ancient, but still really pleased to have found them. And just another day in the life here at the old farm at La Vieille Ferme. If you enjoy what you've seen and would like to see other content of life around the farm here in Brittany, then please subscribe, and thanks for watching.